That's Quinn. Welcome back, everybody, to yet another Table Talk. You've read the title already. You know what it is. We're doing FNAF 3. I hate this game. I'm getting that out of the way right now. I don't like this game. That's why I did like a 7-minute original Table Talk video. Just me. Yeah, let's just get right into it. Not alone, never am. We're here with some returning guests and one new guest. Starting from left, we have Lucy. Say hi.
Hi, I'm Lucy Lollipop. I make SpongeBob videos on YouTube most of the time. It's pretty cool.
Check him out. He just released a video today. Check him out. Blump!
Hello there. I'm new to the table talk, so I'm excited to see what it's all about. I mostly make voice acting content on YouTube. I'm quite new to it, so still pumping out new stuff. But yeah, really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So happy to have you. And he also released a video today. And next up, another returning guest, Fred.
I'm Brad. I'm a Bridger. I make audio content on YouTube once in a blue moon.
Heck yeah. All right. Who's excited? FNAF 3. Look at that picture.
I'm very excited.
I'm always excited.
I cannot wait to talk about Haunted Chuck E. Cheese again.
Yeah! Lucy, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. So, per usual with my table talks, we have the four of us. And I'm ask a question. We'll start with somebody, and the other two will go, and then I'll give my answer. I like letting other people choose before say their piece before I say my piece. So, first question, I always ask it. How many of you have played this game? We'll start with Blump.
I have played this game. I have played it to completion, including both endings. However, I will have to admit, and this is something I'll talk about later, if the opportunity arises. I did have to use a guide to get the proper ending.
Shame.
But that's another thing. That's the thing I'll talk about later, if the opportunity arises. But yes, I have played this game.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, so I haven't played it, but I did watch Markiplier's playthrough when it came out, and I mentioned in the last table talk I was in that my girlfriend forced me to watch her play a bunch of these games, and this was one of them. So I am familiar with it and everything, all the components and all that. But interestingly enough, this was after I had kind of fallen away from Five Nights at Freddy's for a few years, and then came back to it long after it had come out, and then that's when I kind of marathoned everything else. So yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I haven't played it myself.
Awesome. Red?
I played it to completion, both endings. I was but a scared little boy when it happened, though. I was just looking up a guide so I could just do it and then be done with the game and uninstall it because I was just too scared at the time.
No, that tracks. This game's horrifying. It's also awful. I've watched Markiplier play through it, I believe, as it came out, like on YouTube. And personally, me playing it, I played until night 5, and then my save file got erased, and I said, fuck this, because I absolutely do not like this game. So, no, I did not complete it. It also was hard. Like, those later nights were awful. Just one little animatronic getting jump scared every 2 seconds. But it looked too long.
Yeah. I love Springtrap.
It's Springtrap and then a combination of Springtrap and little Balloon Boy. That bastard.
Oh yeah.
Into it.
We all hate Balloon Boy here.
Right. So I've combined this question because I always put this in a separate question in my past table talks, but I think it'd be easier and faster if we just put them all together. So, starting with Bread, what is the hardest and easiest part of this game for you?
Oh, obviously the easiest thing is the first night. You don't have to do anything. There's no threat. You're just getting used to the camera and the vent system and that side monitor that you have to use to repair stuff, because that was interesting. I'd say the hardest part would be the later nights where, if you're not paying attention to a specific part of a camera before you close it, bam, that's something you gotta fix on that side monitor, and it gives Springtrap time to come to you, and then you have to lure him away, and the process repeats.
I would, well, again, I have to agree. One thing I want to say about the first night, though, it's basically phone guy talking the whole time. He talks and and then basically like, we beat it. Definitely gets harder later on. That's when things start being very unforgiving. I will say this is, of the games I've seen, this is one of the most unforgiving. It's tends to take people a while to get through.
Which I mean, I think is get like, okay, because it's just one. It's just one. So, it being super hard makes sense, but kinda. Blump.
So I mean, not to sound like a broken record here, but I kind of agree the easiest part is the first night. However, I think it's a very important part of the game because the mechanics, obviously FNAF 2 added a couple of new mechanics, like the mask and the voice and the music box and stuff like that. But I think FNAF 3 was quite a drastic departure from the rest of the franchise in terms of mechanics. And the phone guy's call in that first night is actually really crucial because he's explaining how all the new mechanics work. And even though it's easy because there is no threat, I think it builds up a nice part of suspense because you don't know there isn't a threat until the second night where he says we found a real one, and obviously that that adds an air of threat to it, and then obviously stuff goes down. So I think the easiest part is the first night, but it brings a lot of new things to the table, and I think it's really important. The hardest thing is actually the introduction of all those new mechanics. So obviously you've got managing
absolutely.
audio, video, oxygen, the vents as well. So having to switch cameras, close vents off.
There's a lot of shit.
Once you get into once you get into the swing of things, like it can be kind of not easy, but manageable. But it's a lot to take in.
My answer with the hardest, I agree with you. There's just a lot going on. And then there's like jump scares, which I think is it Freddy's jump scare, which will kill every system. Just
I
dandy.
can't quite remember. I'll be honest.
I think it's
It might
Freddy
be
because
Freddy's,
it's like
yeah.
it's really easy to set him off and all that. That's partially the hardest part. I think the other hardest part is finding the puppet and then it just ruining your day. Like
The puppet can be quite hard to notice, yeah.
Yeah,
So one
it's
mistake
also
and then
horrifying.
it's really in your face. It's really in your face, and it's quite a loud noise as well.
That's nice. Easiest part.
Hmm.
I don't even say the easiest part's for night one game. There's a lot going on in night one, man. But I guess so. So yeah. Next question. Right. Let's start with Blump? Yeah, start with Blump. What's your favorite and least favorite part of this game?
Ooh, so I think my favorite part would probably have to be. Actually, I think it's kind of cool how it shrinks down to just one thing that can actually kill you. So, like the fact that there is only one actual animatronic, in this case, of course, being Springtrap, and all of the others are just hallucinations. I think that's really cool, actually. I think the designs are really cool for all of them. Especially as as I'm sure we'll get into later, the design of the animatronics. But I think they really look cool. So yeah, I'd say just the devolution from multiple animatronics to just one tangible threat is really cool.
Honcho, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Least favorite part. I'll kind of get into this a bit more later. But it's the mini games to get the final ending or the good ending, so to speak. I'll get into this more a bit later with some of the other questions.
Maybe some lore later.
But yeah, exactly. So I'll get into that later. But my least favorite part would probably be the mini games. I'll explain why later.
All right. Who would like to go next?
I have thoughts.
Right.
So I like the audio part of the game, having to listen for the stuff that's coming. I think that adds to the horror atmosphere a lot. also like the phantom animatronic attributes. Like, I just really like their inclusion in the game. And I am going to sound like a broken record, but yeah, mini games are my least favorite part of it. I feel like they break from the action a lot, especially because I think it's otherwise very terrifying.
Fred?
I think both my favorite and least favorite is that there's just one threat to worry about. Because on one hand, it establishes that this is the most dangerous one. If there's only one thing that can kill you, it's gotta be like tough to kill. And there's just gotta be something wrong with it that makes it different from the previous ones. But that's also kind of what I don't like, because before, with the previous two games, there was a lot more stuff you had to look out for, you know? FNAF 2, you had Mangle on the ceiling, you had to focus on the music box, you had to look, okay, Chica's an event, Bonnie's an event, Balloon Boy's there, how do I deal with this? But instead, it's just, you got one guy to look out for. Easy.
Oh, my least favorite part about this game is that it exists. Uh,
That's not very fair. Come on, you got to think.
okay, my least favorite part is the vent system, because I always end up losing that battle between Springtrap and the vents. Me?
He is very quick, to be fair.
Oh my god! Like, I see him in the vents, turn the camera off, and he jump scares me. It's like, please, come on! And
Like you wait for a second too long, he's at your door. You
He's
can see
there.
him like peeking in there.
you close
like,
the door, and he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And so your
Just chilling.
favorite part.
Go on, think hard, Quinn. Go on.
I don't know,
I can hear
man.
the gears turning right now.
I do like the phantom jump scares, because those are the ones that really got me the first time I watched the series.
Same.
Foxy was awful. Boy's awful. Freddy's awful, because you don't know what you did wrong with Freddy. Like, it's too late.
To be fair, my reaction to the Phantom animatronics quite it mirrored Markiplier in his first playthrough of the game, where he was actually surprised that he was still alive afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still alive.
He was like, "I'm alive." So yeah, my reaction mirrored Markiplier's, to be fair.
Well, it's the beginning, you know. Right. So, got that out the way. Oh boy, everybody's favorite part. Got some pictures.
Let's see them.
I got some pictures.
See the dudes.
Starting off with this
The boys.
wicked photo of Springtrap. Wild photo.
That looks like a trap with
College photo right there.
College photo. Definitely mine. I don't know how it got leaked, but it's okay.
Yearbook.
The high school yearbook photo.
Yeah.
We
Better than I
have,
do.
well, I guess
Forgot
we
to
can
brush his teeth.
kind of get it in later, but William Afton inside the spring lock suit, making the
Cool.
Springtrap. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's the question here?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Springtrap's design? Whoever wants to start, go ahead. Then I'll call names next time.
Well, I for one like it because it's kind of greenish, and I'm a big fan of that color. But I also kind of like the weird, like, bunny thing it's got going on. It looks very intimidating. Like, I feel like when I first saw I saw Springtrap for the first time in a compilation of like all the deaths you could get in a FNAF game before I was decided to check out Markiplier's playthroughs again. And I saw Springtrap in the third game, and I'm like, oh, there's only one guy here. And it's like, but he looks really scary. Like, I would not want that thing walking up to me. So I definitely think, like, yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
I agree. Also, the question was gonna be before you knew Afton inside the costume. It's fine.
Same thoughts.
Yeah, I really. Bread.
I think, as opposed to a lot of as opposed to the previous games, I'll say Springtrap's design felt more realistic to it. Like Fazbear Frights is this horror place, you know? You'd go there on Halloween with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or someone, and you'd go there to get scared. This absolutely matches this, and it just fits because it's a dimly lit place, and you just see this little dark green figure in the shadows until it gradually gets closer, and he just stares at you, and you see him
Yeah.
move.
Yeah,
You see him like sneak by and everything. It's cool. Whereas the others, yeah, they're in a restaurant, they fit, but they're just not there.
Yeah, I forget you can see him. I like when he's peeking across, peeking out the corner. Definitely saying hi, how are ya? Definitely.
Gotta say, that's a hi, how are you moment right there.
Thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a great design personally. Up until this point in the franchise, if I remember correctly, like you'd only been told of people being stuffed into suits, and it was sort of left to the imagination, really. But as the game goes on, and you learn more about like these spring lock suits and how they could malfunction and things like that, and you start to realize there's actually a person stuck
In
inside one of
there.
those things.
Well, he ain't stuck, he's
And
in
I don't believe it's until the fifth night that you see the final cutscene where you actually realize who it is.
That's exactly what it is.
In that suit. But just the thought of there actually being a person stuck in that suit, where up until this point in the franchise you'd only heard about it, or like you've been told, oh, they stuffed the bodies into suits, or oh, this is what they're going to do if they catch you, they're going to put you in a suit. But actually to see it and see what the result is. I think it's a wicked design, not gonna lie. Definitely creepy. As Bread said, definitely fits with the aesthetic of the place. Yeah, I just think it's really good.
I'm in agreement. I love Springtrap's design. It's got teeth, and I don't even need it. Like that's freaking awesome. I like these little secret screens where you can see the mask come off, see somewhat of a human skull back there with an eyeball.
Did you get them when you started the game? I can't really remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think like they would randomly appear if you started the game.
This was a secret screen.
Yeah.
I had to look up secret screens to get this picture, but before I knew Afton was in it, well, even when I figured out Afton was in it, I wasn't knowledgeable enough about the lore.
I was gonna say,
Maybe
did we know who Purple Guy was at
I
that
don't
point, or
believe
was he
so.
still just? I think
We
he was
didn't
still
know
just
his
Purple
name.
Guy. So
we didn't know.
we
He didn't know
knew
his name.
we knew who Purple Guy was to an extent, but we didn't know he was William Afton.
His
We didn't
defining
know-
characteristic was a freaking color.
Yeah,
I don't
he was
think
still
we
just Purple
knew
Guy.
William was Purple Guy until what, sister location, right?
We
We didn't know
don't
his
even know.
name, but
we knew that he was. We knew who he was, and we knew
Yeah.
he was a bad guy. So, also as well, I think Purple Guy had only appeared in minigames and stuff. So, realizing that it was like a physical embodiment of Purple Guy, who has been this mysterious figure for a little while at that point, that was really cool.
yeah.
So you're like, oh damn, this is the guy. Like,
This is the man.
yeah, it's actually him.
It's me.
And until night 5, you're kind of just thinking, "Whoa, what? Who is this guy?" And then it's revealed. And you're like, "Man, that's gotta suck."
Yeah, but it's Purple Guy, so he deserved it, right?
He deserves it, yeah. But imagine someone else, because other people suffered at the hands of those suits,
Oh yeah.
being inside them and everything. Like,
Well, I mean, why else did they have the tape, right?
yeah.
Very true. Got two different. Well, one of the questions we're gonna come up with is Purple Guy lore. So, keep
Oh,
keep
God.
brainstorming. Yeah, we'll get there. Keep brainstorming them questions. Now we got, I believe this is the good ending, but we will look at the
Yeah.
bad ending first. I believe the bad ending is when you just beat the game.
Yes.
Anything?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, without doing anything.
Which sucks. Like, what the hell? But okay.
Yeah.
And so, with this one, let's just see. What do y'all think of these screens, especially with the bad ending having a extra face in it?
I can go first if you want.
Yes.
Yeah. So from what I understand, I mean, there was a lot of confusion when I first reached the bad ending because I hadn't watched Markiplier's playthrough at this point because I wanted to play it for myself first, and that's what, since the first one, that's what I'd always wanted to do. But to my knowledge, the fifth mask in the background is supposed to be Golden Freddy, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, um, I felt a lot of confusion about these screens, and earlier on, I mentioned how I didn't really like the minigames. The reason why I didn't like the minigames is because, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, like I did okay in school, but I was not intelligent enough to figure out how to glitch the minigames specifically to get the good ending. Because there are so many little things you got, like glitch out of this wall and climb up this many times, and yeah, it was really complicated to get to the actual good ending. So I think the bad ending, whilst it's definitely a positive image, for a long time without me using a guide, it was the only one that I got because I just could not figure out how to get the good ending. So I like them. I think at the time I didn't really expect another sequel because I thought, right, okay, this is a pretty good conclusion with the good ending to the franchise. You know, the lights have gone out, the souls have been laid to rest, that sort of thing. I thought it was a pretty good conclusion, but it was more just frustration getting there, to be honest.
Very awesome answer there. Yeah. I didn't play any of the games past FNAF 1 till years later. Very biased with my answer to that, but let's go with
Um, yeah, it was the the ending screens are interesting because even to this day, I don't entirely know what they're supposed to indicate. But yeah, I remember reading that that was supposed to be Golden Freddy back there, and yeah, I do think it's interesting that in the bad ending, that's the one where they're lighting up. But I think that makes sense because that's kind of like, oh, they're something's happening. That's scary. You don't want that to happen.
they're not free yet.
Yeah. So yeah, it is definitely I really think the pictures can definitely invoke some sort of motivation to see what happens later in the series. Yeah, they're very foreboding, I guess you could say.
And your thoughts?
I'm being honest. I think it's pretty easy to tell, like the symbolism behind the lights still being on. Like the souls are still in there. They're not laid to rest. They're still angry because they're dead, and you know, working really hard for that good ending where all the lights are off and you think it's over, and not seeing the Golden Freddy head in the back, and I'm pretty sure it's Golden Freddy. If you like really saturate the image, you can see it. But just not seeing it there, and it's just in the darkness, makes it a little more like, oh, he's there. We just don't know it until we find out that he's there. And I guess it's weird to word this, but it's easy to tell, like, you've done good, dead spirits are happy.
Um, well, should be noted that I have not seen any of the. I've seen them. I think I've played a few of these mini games and they sucked. I played them. Get the good ending. To begin with.
I was gonna say, did you play them properly, or did you do the weird glitchy stuff to get the good ending?
I did the one glitch thing with that about.
Yeah,
I remember doing that one.
that's kind of what I was saying. Because without the guide, I would never have known what to do.
Oh no way! Like there's no clear indication.
No,
Nowhere. Every glitch and
but exactly. So someone else had to figure it out first, and I have no idea how they did. To be honest,
It's
it
insane how
boggles
people
my
figure that
mind how
stuff
they
out.
figured it out. Because I would never have done that.
power to you, you know.
Mm.
Look at this. Back. Yeah. You guys talking
It's
about?
not. Sorry, I was. It's not the good ending though. It's just the end.
Right. That's the thing. Like, there's no indication it was good. It's just the end.
Yeah. The end.
But
How
like
all things go.
thinking
It's the end
ahead.
until a year later.
Thinking to the end there, like sister location, where what's the location? They got all the no 6 simulator where they all got burned and their souls were like released.
Yeah, that was the end of 6. Yeah.
And so like this is foreshadow there. Like the lights are all off, meaning there's no more souls, meaning they're all freed. So that's why it's a good ending. I can see that now, you know. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts about it. I don't have much.
Yeah.
You guys ready to talk about Purple Guy?
Yeah, I love
sure, yeah.
purple.
He got an
Oh, they're
updated.
color.
Yeah,
The
see,
hot dog.
he got
It's
he got an
him.
updated render this time. His hands are
Spoiler
widely
alert.
open.
We did figure out that was supposed to be a phone, right?
I don't know.
That's what
Yeah.
Tony
I
told
always
me.
just thought it was him like holding his palm out. All
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That looks like a hand.
I thought it was a phone
I don't know why there's
for
a purple
purple
Yeah.
phone.
banana.
because I always thought the phone
Yeah,
guy. I always thought
purple
the phone
banana.
guy was purple guy, but I think that was later disproven.
That
Hello,
was that was a
hello.
theory for
That
a
was a pretty
while.
big theory for a long time, I think, if I remember correctly. Because
It was
I mean, bear in mind,
theory up until people remembered that night 4 of
How-
FNAF 1 had him dying.
yeah, true. But that was recorded, to be fair. Anyway, I did play these games when I was a kid, mostly, and well, I was a kid younger because I was growing up as they came out. I was like 13, 14 when the first one came out. So a lot of my knowledge of the lore is from around that time, but I have played them again recently as an adult. So, but I'm not up to date with the lore, mostly because there's just so much stuff now. I don't really know what's going on.
There's a lot. There is a lot. Check out our good friend Matt Pat. He'll get you up to speed.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Uh, Shout out Matt Pat. I think Quinn's gonna start off this time. Purple Guy. This man, I cannot understand this man. And to see the events full or transpire with him walking across the street in FNAF 6 kind of made it make sense and all that, and then seeing the cutscene about him running into the suit and dying in a suit makes sense. But what don't get me is the fact that Spring Chef keeps appearing in the new ones, and he looks different and more different every time. I'm not sure how that tracks, but Purple Guy, some mystery. He's the one who killed Charlotte and Emily, I believe, inside the End 2. He dismantles the androids again, animatronics during the mini games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the end of each night. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. And then
yeah, because he tries to lead them into the safe room that they just can't go in, if I remember correctly.
yeah, because every time
Yeah.
we get close, he comes out and he
Yeah.
dismantles androids. Is a Dragon Ball. I got that confused. Uh, So that was his appearance in 2. His appearance in 3 was taking him apart, crying children coming back. Uh, their appearances. But yeah, I think he's a real. He stayed a mysterious character for a long time. That's hard
Hmm.
to do. That's my thoughts.
I always found Purple Guy very intriguing because at first I genuinely did not know who he was, and I think that can go for a lot of people. And even for the longest time, I had a hard time understanding who exactly he was in the series and how it fit in. And it wasn't until a good while after that I had already engrossed myself in the series that I actually found out, oh yeah, he's the guy behind it all. So I was an idiot. Didn't really read through the lines with the cutscenes we were seeing, kind of making theories as to what was going on. But I guess that's just how everything is. So I think he's very intriguing, and we definitely see quite a bit of him during this story that's very important, essential to his character in the overall series.
Okay. I like by this point in the series, from 1, 2, and 3, you don't know much about this guy. Like you've seen him starting in FNAF 2 in those random death mini games, and that's it. And all you know is that he's this guy with a phone, and that led to theories that were eventually, disproven. But up until night 5, when you see what actually happened to him, and oh, this is the guy that's been hunting me through the game. He's been the one crawling through vents to kill me. He's been stalking me through that window. And just learning how he's the reason the entire series is happening. And he's caused so much pain and death. And now he's looking to add you onto the kill count. And now, we know he has more lore implications, and he'll probably come back again. I think they had a missed opportunity to name him Scorch Trap in Help Wanted. Not Help Wanted, sorry. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. The new
Security
one.
breach.
Security Breach, yes. They had a missed opportunity to call him Scorch Trap. But he's just
Like-
this imposing menace in the series.
Like Scorch Traps goes against what he is. Dies.
I mean, it's better than Burn Trap, because at least it's sticking with the S in the name.
Yeah.
Wait, they called him Burn Trap?
Yeah, it's in
That's kind of
Security Breach. Yeah, that's what I said.
Scorch
Trap is a better name.
so much better. What the hell?
Uh,
Scott, sort it out, man. Come on.
Back. Lump, what are your thoughts on Purple Guy?
Oh, right. Quite a lot to say. I mean, especially from FNAF 2, like the mini games that you see, he's pretty obviously a bad guy. I mean, in FNAF 2, you straight up see him murder a child, so that cements him as a bad guy, definitely. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that face, it's a pretty spooky face. If I was a crying child in an alley outside a pizza restaurant, I'd be pretty scared of that face too. So especially from FNAF 2, I remember there was a big, like, lots of theories flying around. MatPat, I'm sure, had enough to say on it about who this guy was and what he was doing. And as you say, in the mini games leading up to it, and the random death ones in FNAF 2, and the nightly ones in FNAF 3, he's still a villain. Like, he's taking apart these animatronics. Although, if I remember correctly, in the minigames, you follow a purple Fredbear costume to this guy.
Yeah, Shadow Freddy, quote unquote.
Which I'm not sure is Purple Guy. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. But Purple Guy, up until that point, was always a villain or an evil entity, and that was pretty obvious, I've thought, from the minigames. As Bread says, when you finally realize who he is, as in he is Springtrap, the suit he's using, I can only assume, is the one that he was using to lure all those kids in the first place. Because I think, or I can only assume, seeing as there were 5 kids in that final minigame, that he was the one that killed the original 5, as in the original animatronics and Golden Freddy. I think it was a pretty big development for his character as to who he was and, what he had been up to. But at that point, again, I don't think we knew his name was William Afton. We didn't know who he was exactly. He was still just Purple Guy who became a Springtrap. So I think it was a lot of important development for his character, but at that point we still just didn't know a lot about him.
I like how his sprite changed every time, every game.
Did it?
Really adds to it. Yeah.
Didn't even notice.
This one, the iconic pickle hand here, introduced in this game.
Right.
I think last game he looked more like he was looking at us.
Hang on, I'm going to Google it real quick.
There was a picture I had in my last table talk with guy throughout the aggressively, with it. I need to brush up on guy lore because I feel like I should be telling what
Oh
it
yeah.
actually is. Don't just know he's William Afton.
He's just a dude dressed in purple holding a phone with a piece of toast on his chest.
I don't think he's dead. That's my.
Yeah, and the first one is literally just a
Yeah.
purple stick figure, pretty much. In FNAF 2,
Look at his
I
badge,
just-
dude. That's a piece of toast.
No,
Piece
but
of
like
toast.
before,
No, but it's
according to
toast.
this, according to Google, he didn't have the piece of toast in FNAF 2.
That's he grew a banana hand and a piece of toast.
Yeah, he was just a purple stick figure from the looks
Just
of it.
nailed to his chest.
There's a fan casting here for Willem Dafoe as Purple Guy. What's going on?
No,
Alright.
no,
It
would be funny.
Works better.
It would be funny.
Has to look like a middle-aged man.
Dude, the
So Tumblr
the
sexy man
FNAF
here.
movie looks so good.
Godspeed, Michael.
Here I have a picture of all the animatronics together. What are your thoughts on design and mechanics of animatronics? Highlight mechanics.
I mean, the puppet is terrifying.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, the puppet is definitely, out of all the designs, the puppet is the worst one. Worst as in
Jesus.
most terrifying.
Yeah, because
And the first
face
time you come, yeah, I mean, just you stare into those eyes and you see nothing. Like the first time you come across the puppet or the haunted puppet, the noise that it makes is just horrible. It's a horrible noise, and I get the idea is it's making a lot of noise to draw Springtrap to you. But if I remember correctly, there was no way to get rid of it. You just had to wait for it to go away. So it was a pretty big mistake to make if you didn't catch it in the cameras. But it was quite hard to see in the camera sometimes. That was one thing about the mechanics of this game. The cameras were so flipping dark. It was really hard to see sometimes. And Springtrap was really well hidden in the cameras as well. Sometimes you couldn't tell exactly where he was. I think the designs for all of the haunted ones, or all of the haunted animatronics, are really, I mean, not lazy, but they're kind of just streaky versions of the originals. I think particular attention has gone into the puppet, definitely, probably Foxy, but Freddy, Balloon Boy, and I mean Freddy and Chica definitely, maybe Balloon Boy. They just kind of look like streaked versions of current sprites. Springtrap obviously has the most detail, but that's because he is literally the only real one there. So I've already spoken about Springtrap's design. I really like it, but the haunted animatronics, I think some of them look a little lazy. So I'd probably like Freddy and Chica look the most lazy. Balloon Boy looks pretty good. Foxy and Mangle, pretty good. Puppet, top tier.
Up to here.
The mechanics wise, though, I think it was a pretty big surprise that they didn't kill you. As I said earlier, the first time it happens, I was surprised that I wasn't dead. But as the nights went on, they became more of an annoyance, to be honest. Because there were ways of preventing it. You just so for Balloon Boy and the puppet, you just had to switch cameras and things like that. Freddy, you just had to not look at them for too long. Foxy, I think was pretty unavoidable. I'm not quite sure what the trigger for Foxy was, but a lot of them just became annoying eventually because you knew how to stop it. You could figure out how to stop it from happening. But every time you made that mistake and didn't stop it from happening, it was kind of annoying. But that's probably more of a skill issue, to be honest.
Skill issue.
Skill issue.
Lucio, thoughts?
I think they are utterly horrifying. I would not ever want to see those in any context ever. No exceptions. I do kind of admit, yeah, Freddy's is a little lazy when compared, but yeah, I don't think I expected much. Like, I didn't really expect the Phantoms to be in this game in the first place, but yeah. Again, reinforce, like, yeah, that the puppet is horrifying. That is not pleasant to look at in the slightest. But yeah, I like their designs a lot in this. I like their seeing them in the context of the game is also definitely something that will really make you go, whoa, okay. Oh, how did I survive that? Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate them.
Yeah, that's a good point, to be fair, because this is just a picture of them all like together. But when you're actually in the game and you're in the headspace, it's a bit different. So that's a fair point.
Yeah. Be in the scene, and then they hit you, and you're like, oh, scary.
Loud, they jump at you. Just jump back. Let out an audible gasp, and you. Fred, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's the Phantom experience.
The Phantoms, for me, I love the design, except for one. Can you guess which design I don't like?
Is it Freddy?
No, actually.
Oh, damn.
Chica looks like a watermelon.
Sorry, but
I was
can't unsee it.
What is Freddy's tummy, actually?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Freddy's
but,
tummy
you know.
definitely looks like a watermelon.
Freddy has the top hat
say that
to vouch for him.
I did say I think both of them are the laziest ones because they just look like recolors and slight redesigns of existing sprites. The other ones look like they've had a bit more effort put into them.
I like
Oh,
Foxy.
yeah, no,
I like
looking at...
Foxy back there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
completely forgot
terrifying.
Phantom Mangle
Like,
existed
Me too.
until I looked at the bottom left of this picture. I was
I
like,
can't even remember. What does
Peekaboo!
Phantom Mangle do?
I think it's a Halloween edition, and I think that's the cover up for Freddy. Change
Oh.
Freddy for
Maybe.
Foxy. Freddy
Yeah, I
Foxy.
couldn't remember Mangle in this.
I mean, obviously you have Freddy and Chica, which are kind of lazy, but then you look at Foxy and the puppet, especially the puppet. The only way you can tell that this thing was an animatronic is the top of the head. That's it. This is man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. Like, this is nightmare fuel. It's just
It was
a shadow with
it was just
white
its
eyes
face that
just
you saw
on
in
your
the jump
screen.
scare as well, wasn't it?
God, yeah.
Imagine seeing
It was
that
like
at
right
night.
up in your face.
That's the problem with
I
the
think-
jump scare. Every one of them did a Foxy nosedive. Every
Yep.
one of them. It's awful. Except for that's probably
Springtrap's one was kind of boring. It just
we
sort
can,
of
we
was
can
like
add that to the unfavorite, like the least favorite list. Fucking Springtrap's shitty ass jump scare. That's not a
Yeah,
jump
it was
scare.
kind of
That's a
underwhelming.
move forward to you.
yeah,
Just
it was
walked
close.
It's
to
like
being-
Foxy's jump scare from FNAF 1. He just walks in the door.
Hey,
But Foxy had the build up though, because you could hear him
He
running.
He did.
You could hear
yeah,
him in the
it's so
camera.
good when you catch it on
Like,
the camera.
Foxy
It's like,
had
"Oh,
the
you do?"
more. Foxy had the build up. Springtrap, he's just sort of like, "Hi, how are you?" And then you're
Hi.
dead.
Yeah, he just
I want
kinda
to
walks
hug.
in.
He just
Psych.
like it's not in your face. He's just in the room, and then you're dead.
It's boring. It's boring.
I think they kind of stopped being scary to me after the Pymations video.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm
Also,
referring to.
Foxy had going for him the horrible jump scare noise from FNAF 1. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The jump scare noise in FNAF 1 was way worse. Worse as in
it's a
terrifying.
sped up word.
Yeah.
Isn't it like a sped up? Oh, it's from I think.
I think if
Giving
you
birth
listen
to
to
an
the whole
alien.
file, if you listen to the whole file in the game files, it's literally just it's a distorted child screaming.
Wow.
That explains
Like
it.
you can hear it tail out and everything, whereas in the game it cuts off before it gets to the end. But it's a distorted child scream in the first game, if I remember correctly.
Which
And
makes sense
the
because
third,
there's spirits of children inside.
exactly. And in the third game, the jump scare noise for Springtrap, it didn't do it any favors, in my opinion.
No, because you
Yeah.
can't do any favors when you're waddling towards the player.
No, he wasn't in your face at all like the other animatronics were, and they didn't even kill you.
The one that did was.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's one of the only things I feel like Springtrap kind of has going for him in terms of comparing him to the others. Not just he can kill you, but his suit is like tattered and worn because it's still there.
And this is also
don't
set very far in the future.
Yeah, I don't understand how
30
the
years.
phantoms of the suits still exist with the spirits. Like, that is Chica literally, like, that phantom
Freaking
is almost a perfect copy with just, rub a little bit of grease in there. Look
To be fair,
about the
It's
same.
like a watermelon.
at this point in the timeline, do we know where the actual real animatronics are?
I
I don't believe we do.
I think 3 takes place before 5 and 6.
Or was
Think?
no, 3 takes place in the
I-
year like 2023 or something.
Yeah,
it's
3's definitely in the future.
We just hit the timeline.
Because 2 was a prequel.
Yeah, so 4 was 83. Yeah.
Yes,
that was
yeah, 4 was 83. Yeah,
And 5
3
was
must have
after.
been
This also
after that,
comes after
surely.
Sister Location.
That doesn't track. That doesn't track because he died.
Wait, what?
That doesn't track because
Michael.
William got killed.
Yeah, this comes after Sister Location.
No way.
Because
I
Michael.
would agree with you, but the ending is that everyone burned.
Yes, but you also got to remember there were more children. It wasn't just the same 5. There was also what William did after him and Henry split up. Because William committed murder and was kicked out of the company.
All right,
Kids-
next
Or at
question.
least that's
Well, I remember one of the kids, the kid that was possessing the puppet.
Charlotte
I
Emily.
forget her name. Was it two
Charlotte,
kids? Was it?
No, Charlotte Emily.
Oh,
daughter
Charlotte
of
Emily. Sorry, double
Henry
barrel name.
Emily.
Yes. Yeah. Was it 2 kids that were possessing Golden Freddy, or like 2
yes,
theorized
Cassidy
kids?
and Crying Child Gregory.
Yeah, because they call them like Gold both or something. I can't remember what the term is. Sorry,
They
this
call them
rubber joke
both?
is really hitting me. Gold both or something like that. Yeah. So there were definitely more than 5, but it's difficult to tell. Obviously, at this point in the timeline, according to the ending, Golden Freddy is still possessed by someone. But it's difficult to tell exactly when it is in the timeline. I honestly don't know. I don't know
I
if
think
we do know.
it's after 3 is that ending cutscene of Sister Location's custom night, that final one where Michael's like, I'm gonna come find you, because it shows Fazbear Fright being, burnt to the ground. After that, it goes to Pizzeria Simulator, and that's supposedly the end. And then Ultimate Custom Night goes on.
I'm gonna have to go trawling through the wiki later, aren't
Oh
I?
shit! I was thinking UC Pizzeria Simulator. Pizzeria Simulator had to have come out after this one. That's when everybody got burned.
I
Died.
was going to say Springtrap's in it. Springtrap's in it, isn't he?
Is
Yeah.
yeah, Scrap Trap. That's
Yeah.
that's a good name.
Scraptrap's pretty cool.
Kept with
It
the
rhymes.
S. Kept with the S.
Take notes.
Take notes, Scott. Look
Take
at your
notes. It
previous
rhymes.
prep.
It starts with an S.
Come
Okay.
on, man. Oh, anyways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Good
it
track,
makes sense
good
that 5 was before 3. A lot of sense, because that's when like Baby was playing games, right?
Star Wars logic, man. Everyone knows 5 comes before 3.
Right. 5 comes
I
for
don't know,
3.
man.
Be consistent about it, could they?
Isn't 4 like the beginning chronologically?
4 is 83.
Because 87 is when FNAF 1 takes
87
place.
is the first. Is FNAF 1? Yeah, because the bite of 87 that happens on, I think, the 5th night, right?
FNAF 2 comes before FNAF 1, but after
Yes.
FNAF 4.
Yeah.
So it's
FNAF
like
4, FNAF
4
2, FNAF 1,
to...
FNAF
Because in
5,
FNAF
FNAF
4,
3,
it's
FNAF 6. Boom.
oh god.
No, according to the MatPat's whole theory, sister location happens between 2 and 1, maybe even before
I
2.
I think we're getting a bit off track here, lads.
We are.
We are.
Good call. FNAF 3.
Yeah.
So, speaking of sequels, in terms of chronological order, which one was the better sequel? FNAF
FNAF 2.
2 to FNAF 1 or FNAF 3 to FNAF 2?
I think FNAF 2. FNAF 2 is my favorite.
Same.
And I think
wholeheartedly.
it always will be.
Forever. FNAF 2 forever.
FNAF 1 holds a very special place in my childhood.
I could care
Don't get me
less.
wrong. I think FNAF 1 is an excellent game. Definitely, I think FNAF 1 is the scariest. Mostly because at the time, that kind of genre, it was different. It was different because there weren't many games that put you in such a powerless position as Five Nights at Freddy's did, as in all you had was a camera and some doors. I think FNAF 1 is definitely the scariest. FNAF 2 is my favorite, though, because of how much it improved on the first one in terms of mechanics,
That's what I'm saying.
lore, amount of animatronics. I remember when the FNAF 2 trailer dropped, it wasn't even that long after the first one came out, and it was just so cool. I remember going into school and talking about it with my friends, and holy crap, they've dropped the trailer already. So I think FNAF 2 will always be my favorite. But FNAF 1 holds a pretty good place in my childhood. FNAF 3, I'll come back to this a bit later, I think. But I think FNAF 3 was important, but it's not my favorite.
Lucy.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think that FNAF 2 is the better sequel. I mentioned in the last table talk too that I think FNAF 2 might be a candidate for my favorite game in the whole series. Like I said, I thought the whole setup was very good for jump scares, like the just out in the open with everything being able to come out. And I remember seeing FNAF 2 for the first time and going, ooh, I really don't think I like this. And the problem I had with FNAF 3 was simply that I wasn't really into it by the time it came out. And then, so when I saw it again, I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll give this a go. And well, I do appreciate it. I don't think it had any big splash. And I do think, like, if you were to look at all the FNAF games, I think this one would fall on the weaker scale. So I think it, and I definitely think with FNAF 2 being like a candidate for one of the best, I don't think it's really close.
I think for me, I think 3 was a better sequel because at the time it was like, this is the end to the story. Like, you're done. FNAF 2 had so many mechanics to really focus focus on, like music box, Freddy head, vents, camera, flashing it at Foxy. Whereas this, you just gotta look out for this menace of a character walking around, and it's
FNAF
simple.
3 had its fair share of mechanics, though. To be fair,
Yeah, FNAF 3 had its fair share, but I think overall, because at the time it was just, it's there, play
yeah,
it,
true.
and the series would be done until the next year when the fourth game came out and shocked everyone.
Oh yeah, that one where it follows you home.
Yeah. God.
So my answer to FNAF 2 was
Hmm.
very on that. I, yes, there was a lot going. That's the whole part about it. That's too so much shit going, and it's a challenge. Better. It's the story. Have to. Have, problem is on it. Hard
Hmm.
to say FNAF. You're like in the eyes of FNAF 2, and we're definitely expecting like it, but not like Star Wars, right? Like super far in the future. Main guy, scary like.
Yeah, it's
So
goofy.
Fair.
our next question. FNAF 3 actually in FNAF series? Like, did it make you want to continue to be a FNAF fan? All the lore, like you.
Yeah, honestly, because at the time I was a bit of a fanboy. I didn't buy merch or anything, but I did listen to some of the music people would make for it, the fan songs, and that kept me interested in a while. And then the fourth game dropped, and then I lost a little bit of interest because the fourth game was just too much for me at the time. But the third game, I feel like it really held me because it just looks so decrepit, and you really wonder what happened here. And it really kept me over, and I watched the lore videos and people playing it. I watched Jacksepticeye play it. That was a fun time. The animations people would make of the game, especially Pymations, that video was so good.
Animations.
Again,
Foxy with the
shout out to our
crowbar will
boy.
always be a classic.
Animation.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
That's-
high
that's better.
animations.
Yeah.
Continue
Yeah.
with you.
All right. So the answer to this question is yes and no. Because on one hand, by the time FNAF 3 came out, I had already kind of lost interest in the series, was moving on to bigger things. And then when I saw the compilation that I mentioned earlier, I saw the deaths in FNAF 3, and I'm like, oh, there's just this one guy that walks in and kills you. Oh, that's interesting. How the game is, and that was kind of when I started. So I guess in a way, no, but that was before I gave it a chance. And when I did, that was when I was like, okay, yeah, I'll keep up with it. I was intrigued in seeing where it went, but I was a little sad because like this is like so far in the future and everything's all decrepit now. It's kind of like, oh, you get attached to the series and it's like, oh, now it's becoming ancient. Like, are all these characters just kind of rot away now? It's like, but no, the game would continue for many, many more games after that.
Same boat. I think that's why I dislike this. It's so different. Like FNAF 1 had a thing. FNAF 2 had a better thing. FNAF 3 something so fucking different. It's hard to be like this FNAF. I didn't understand it. Like I didn't look at it as the because I really
Oh God. Oh.
think I'm just
Three came out in 2015,
okay.
but I remember the space between 1 and 2 was very short.
Incredible
Yeah, like less than a year.
that it's I I stick with it's just too much of a guess I'm kind of biased in a way, but yeah.
I think. Hmm?
Matter.
Yeah, no, so for me, at that point, I thought, and I'll speak a bit more on this when we go into like the final lore discussion. I thought that FNAF 3 was a pretty good end to the series, to be honest. Um, there was enough information that we could sort of piece things together, and obviously people did. So Markiplier had his theories during his playthroughs. Matt Pat obviously had his theory videos. There was enough information that we could try and piece things together without getting the whole picture. And I think keeping an air of mystery about the franchise um, is really important because with something like FNAF, I think the mystery is, I mean, the mystery is the whole charm, right? Like, you know, it was one of the big things. What happened? Who did it? Why did it happen? Why are these animatronics haunted? Etc. Etc. So I think FNAF 3 was a really good end to the series because you've realized that Purple Guy, who was the one that had done all of this, had killed all these kids. You realized that he was Springtrap, and then at the end of the game, the place goes up in flames. There's a hint, I believe, at the end of the game that Springtrap is still alive. If you like saturate the photo or something, someone on the internet did it. You can see Springtrap alive. So there's like a bit of ooh, will he do it again? That sort of thing. So there's the air of mystery there, like the open-ended ending, if you will. But going back to the ending screen, if you did everything right and got the good ending, the lights are out, souls are laid to rest. It's a pretty good end to the franchise, or like, do you know what I mean? So I think it kept my attention, but to the point where I thought, right, this is a good end. There shouldn't be any more. Obviously, there are way more now, and there is so much more lore as well. But I think it did and it didn't keep my attention because it kept my attention because it was a good conclusion, I thought, and it didn't keep my attention because it was a good conclusion, and therefore it's done. Like you should ponder about the stuff that's been presented already, but at the end of the day, there's some mysteries that just won't get solved, and that's okay.
Yes, it is very okay.
Now it up. picture. There it is.
Or
This is the that's heads are
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm gonna be repeating a few of the thoughts I already had, to be honest. The lore, especially for Purple Guy, and the series as a whole. I've already mentioned my annoyance at the ending mini games. However, those mini games, when done correctly, as in to provide the correct ending, did provide a closure for each of the lost souls of the kids. You know, like you had to give cake to all of them, and then the final mini game, I believe it's called Happiest Day, where you can
Yeah.
see all of the souls laid to rest, as in the masks of the animatronics falling to the ground. Um, I think that, as I say earlier, it provided a really good end to the lore of the series, and it was pretty conclusive. But there was enough that you could still do a little bit of guesswork, and you wouldn't know everything. But that's, as I said earlier, that's okay, because a bit of mystery, a bit of intrigue keeps the interest in the series alive, and people can keep guessing. I think the amount of lore, if you really, really dig into it, was, I mean, it was huge, because you had a bit of an origin for Springtrap. So the animatronic that had been chasing you and trying to kill you throughout this whole game, you knew where that came from. The lore of Fazbear's Fright, obviously, it presented in both the audio at the start of each night and the newspaper and stuff like that. That was all really good. I think the amount of lore was great. Um, I just personally think it should have ended there, to be honest. And I think FNAF has reached the point now where there is just too much. There's, however many games, there's books, there's all sorts of stuff. And I think 3 was a good point to end it, to be honest. So I think the lore was great. And I think it whilst keeping some mysteries open, it closed off the really important ones. And I think that they should have just left it there.
Thank Ed to add for discussion.
thought it was very one thing I really liked is the execution that they used to show it. It's very unique, but it at the same time it does leave a lot of open ends. For it is the entire lore is up for interpretation from the way it is conveyed in the initial series itself, and I definitely do think that leads to a lot of different theories. Sometimes people going completely in the wrong way, and that can kind of cause people to lose track. So, but I do appreciate like the arcade style and the things it alludes to as the series goes on. I do think that what it introduced in FNAF 3 was a very interesting turn for the series. It definitely got everything rolling, put everything in place, and I don't think it was entirely what everyone was expecting. I think it's by now everyone's so used to it as like the core asset of the series that no one really questions it anymore. But I think it was kind of surprising at the time to see everything escalate. And as Blum said, this would be a fine ending. The series itself, it does kind of close off everything, and then everything afterwards is kind of like continuing from there. And but it's a fair story. Like 1, 2, and 3 do tell like a coherent narrative, and I really appreciate it. So I wouldn't say that I dislike it. It's just kind of difficult to read into if you just play the games without looking up theories or watching Matt Pat. I have never seen any of his videos myself.
I haven't seen a map hat
Figure it
video
out.
for many years.
Fred,
I mean, I think we just about covered all the points that I was ever gonna make.
fine. Makes sense.
Oops.
What else could I add, really? I, man, still saying the spirits of children inside animatronics, not saying the spirits of animatronics. Still keeping that thought alive. Okay, that was in the
Part of me wants to believe that 3 was supposed to be the end of the series, but Scott was having a bit of fun and decided to make 4, and then 4 was gonna be the end, and then it wasn't.
He needed to make rent.
Yeah.
sucks, man.
Yeah.
Mic pickup issues now. Anyways, oh, it's next time a cast F4 table talk. A lot to talk about within F4. Very, very, very close second for me. I could, but it's such a great sequel because it fit the aesthetic and that pleased, you know. It's
The 4 was easily the scariest of all the games.
God by a long, and I still got spooked. Played it, man. Holy hell! Hell, yeah, you gotta be quiet and patient. Wait like 3 discussion day. Thank each and every one of you for coming to get another installment episode. Table Talk.
Anytime.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoyed being here.
I've been joined by Brett, Lump, C. I'll drop their channels in the description. They'll have channels. Go show them love. Give them flip their comments. Boost that algorithm. Thank you guys so much.
We're all a slave to the algorithm.
Yeah.
You don't say that because we want to get pushed. Okay, but
Yeah,
Hey, in
sorry.
the algorithm's
sorry.
favor.
I didn't say
algorithm,
that.
you're awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't seen my kids.
Rhythm's awesome. Love it. Woo!
Love it.
Any final you guys would like to add?
I like.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Yes,
Bye-bye.
Quinn.